This is Zimbabwe, where I grew up. It was once the country with the most promising future in Africa. Like so many others, I don't live here anymore. In the 1980s, my best friend and I were held up as poster children for the new, independent Zimbabwe. A white girl and a black girl who did everything together. We'd known each other since nursery school. In this film, I'll call her Mercy. That's not her real name. When we were 8 years old, the most powerful man in the country came to our town. Mercy and I practiced our curtsies for days. Comrade Robert Mugabe was our hero. I still remember the excitement of being chosen to put flowers around the neck of this great man, whose photo was on every shop wall and school hall. It was like meeting a movie star. Mugabe was elected to power after years battling the repressive Rhodesian regime of Ian Smith. Under Smith, only whites were allowed to vote, though they totaled just 2% of the population.
We, the Europeans, we are all powerful. We have the reins in our hands, and we can pretty well do what we like.
This racism gave rise to hatred and years of bloody civil war. Mugabe emerged a leader when finally independence brought peace and liberation.
I, Robert Mugabe, do swear that I will well and truly serve Zimbabwe, so help me God.
But it wasn't to last. Our hero immediately began a brutal campaign against any opposition. His first target was rival tribe, the Matabele people, Mercy's people. Thousands of civilians were being beaten and killed. My family came to live half a world away in New Zealand. Mercy's family didn't have that choice. She and I lost contact. I've always kept the picture she gave me on the day I left. Over the years I've tried to find her online but never succeeded. I don't even know if she's alive. I've watched Zimbabwe unravel from the safety of New Zealand, and I've never stopped thinking about Mercy.
I need to know what happened to her. And I also need to know what happened to the great new Zimbabwe that we believed in, that we thought we represented.
I'm going back to Zimbabwe, back to find Mercy. Over 7 million Zimbabweans are now living outside the country. Because I've decided to film my search, I ask advice from some of those who've had to escape.
For me, going there now, I'm trying to work out how careful I need to be, you know, because we'll be going with a camera, and what's the best way to do that without getting on the radar.
It depends where you are trying to film. When I went in 2008, it was very hard.
Because 2008 elections?
Yes, after elections. I went in November, I had my own video camera.
Right.
But, you know, filming in First Street, you couldn't. You couldn't. Or if you see anything happening, you know, riots, you can't.
Can't be there.
You can't be there. Yeah. So I think you need to be very careful.
If you sneaked into rural areas or into black township, yes, it's easy to tell.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what's that white girl doing in there?
What's happening?
The media in Zimbabwe is tightly controlled by the Mugabe regime, and we'll have to film undercover. So that is the rig for doing the basics.
The fact that it's a stills camera and there's no tapes.
Well, no one's going to look at this and think it's a video camera.
It's just brilliantly low profile.
So if you're there,
Okay.
Cameraman Jake and I will travel as if we're a couple on holiday, so we take some snapshots to support our story, in case we are questioned.
starting to feel a little at home.
Over the last decade, Zimbabweans have been flooding across the border into South Africa, escaping political violence and desperately hoping to find work. Before setting off for Zimbabwe, we overnight with my old school friend, Aubrey.
Hello, buddy.
So when did you leave Zim?
4 years now.
4 years?
4 years now.
Aubrey left Zimbabwe after his family's farm was seized by the government.
And Governor Kalkonde's got it now.
He just took it?
Huh? 2,000 hectares of trees, forest, been growing for like 12 years. Prime wood. Prime wood. Prime, you know? Prime wood.
Mugabe has carefully painted his land seizures as a colonial redress, but it's not just white farmers being evicted.
It is complicated in Zim.
It's complicated.
It is complicated, especially if you start making money. You got my good side, man?
Yeah.
It appears so.
Aubrey's girlfriend Heather and their friends join us. They're all from Zimbabwe.
This is a good friend of mine, Robyn.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How are you? When did you guys decide to move?
Well, we did. I didn't actually decide to move. Yeah, I came to university here. Yeah. By the time I finished varsity, there was no point in going home. We couldn't go home. So I just stayed here. Yeah. I testify to that. Yeah.
Aubrey and his friends are an example of an educated and talented generation who have left Zimbabwe.
It was a good place to be.
It was a good place.
Yeah. So good. It was so good. It wasn't unusual that in the class you were mixed race.
The thing is, I never even thought about it. Like, it didn't actually occur to me as a kid. Like, we used to go wherever, everyone was kind of mixed and stuff. And so
at university school, I came home and I told my mum, I was like, oh,
Mom, on a blackboard.
I was like, I made a new friend today. And she's just like, what's her name? I was like, Vanilla. So I was like, what colour's Vanilla? I don't know. I'll ask her tomorrow. That was for you. I mean,
I think we took that for granted so much in Zim.
Too much.
But you know, the weird thing is that the news we get about white farmers, all this stuff, they sort of think, oh, it's this really kind of racially segregated country, and that's not our experience.
it isn't at all.
But what's sad is that it's become like
It's becoming
so sad.
It's sad.
It's so sad.
When you're born in Africa, they say the land never leaves your blood. It's exciting to be back. We've been told it's safest to cross into Zimbabwe via the border near Victoria Falls. To get there, we must first cross the length of Botswana. Before we cross into Zimbabwe, we conceal our camera gear as best we can. Bag searches at the border posts are common. We're advised that leaving early will help us avoid trouble. No hire company would let us take a vehicle into Zimbabwe, so I've arranged for a contact with transport to meet us on the other side. It's impossible to film our crossing without drawing unwanted attention to ourselves. Jake keeps the camera covered.
Is it okay for Jake to have the camera out now? Is it not a good idea?
I've just flown the food season, so I'll just...
Yeah.
On the Zimbabwe side, we pass trucks that have been queued for over a week, desperate to pick up goods to sell from Botswana and Zambia. Peter is the only contact in Zimbabwe who knows about the documentary, and he's agreed to help us. Because I haven't been here for so long, Peter's local knowledge is invaluable.
And we don't want to sort of raise any flags this early in the thing. And I mean, it's all still sensitive. I mean, they're still looking out for this.
Zimbabwe, day 1, sync clap. We should blend in here in the tourist town of Victoria Falls. It's an ideal place to test our equipment. Despite our own tourist guise, our cover suddenly feels shaky when Jake and Pete are questioned by a police officer.
So what happened with that woman at Vic Falls today? Because I didn't come back until you guys were talking to her, and then I didn't want to ask you at the time.
She just started interrogating us about what we were doing, where we were going. It was really strange. She was actually more interested in Pete than she was in me, and she was just looking him up and down the whole time. This is only day 2. Jesus.
We have to move quickly and we have to leave quickly.
Yeah, we do.
We leave by dawn. Clearly, we need to be even more careful than we had thought. As we head deeper into Zimbabwe, I really feel its decline. En route to where I last saw Mercy is Bulawayo, where my mother grew up. The name Bulawayo means the killing place. During the Civil War, Mugabe's ZANU-PF from Mashonaland in the north joined forces with ZAPU from Matabele land in the south against the Rhodesian army. But as soon as independence was achieved, Mugabe saw ZAPU and the Ndebele people as the greatest threat to his leadership. Claiming to be fighting dissidents, he established a deadly force known as the 5th Brigade, who were trained by North Korea. They sealed off areas of Matabele land, often killing entire villages. At least 20,000 men, women and children were massacred. Mugabe called this ethnic cleansing Gweru, the rain that washes away the chaff. Bulawayo is the capital of Matabele land, Mercy's tribal region. A human rights survey found that over 80% of people here have first-hand experience of torture.
My brother was killed by Gweru. They were beating all the elders, kids, even pregnant people. And my uncle also, they broke his backbone. And they even raped my 2 sisters. It affected me very much.
It's Bulawayo where the Secret Service, or CIO, continues to be most active. We decide not to stay overnight here. It's been hard to ignore the persistent presence of a man in a leather jacket. Today we'll reach Gweru, my hometown. Gweru lies in the Midlands between Mashonaland and Matabele land. A natural collision point, Gweru has always been the centre of political tension. We've been told not to film here at all, but this is where I last saw Mercy.
I used to spin it, I always used to spin it too fast. She used to say, stop, stop.
I've arranged to meet a local who knows the intricacies of Gweru. Sam and his girlfriend Fudzi will help me look for Mercy.
But when was the last time you actually
saw her, talked to her, 97, 96, 97.
Did she work somewhere?
Well, when I last saw her, she was doing teacher training.
We'll just have to go around and see. Yeah.
Ask some people. I'll show, I've got some photos also. I'll show you. Someone, they might recognize her parents. And, yeah.
Yeah, let's just try out CGR. They'll see and they might tell us something.
Yeah.
I'm hoping my old school, CJR, may hold records of Mercy's parents and past addresses.
I was looking for, do you remember this? She was my best friend when I was here at school. Do you remember?
This one?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember the face very well.
Yeah.
But they go to the office, they might check from the register of that particular year if it's still available.
We can't tell people we're filming, it's just too risky. So Jake becomes adept at covert camera work.
This is my friend Jake, also from New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
This was my first school.
Okay.
Is it okay if I have a look around and see all my old classrooms?
Okay, no problem.
It's okay? Excellent. I was also wondering, because I'm trying to find my friends from, or some of my friends from when I was here.
When was that?
82 to 86. So I was wondering if there's any records still or photos.
The records now. We destroy them after 9 years.
Education was the pride of independent Zimbabwe, one of Mugabe's great early legacies, racially integrated and high-achieving. In the past decade, that's been rapidly eroded. In 2008, there were just 23 school days. In the last letter I received from Mercy, she was excited at the prospect of becoming a teacher. My best guess is that she would have trained at the local college. I tell the college that I'm looking for a friend who I think may have studied here between 1997 and 2001.
Nice to meet you.
Please take this.
Thank you. We're needing a bit of help.
They agree to search the records.
Oh, the records might be in the archives now.
Yes, it's true, because it's a long time ago.
Yeah, they might be in the archives. Not there.
No.
I think I've done my best.
Thank you so much for trying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh wow, it's a shame.
Very hard. It's like a needle in a haystack.
Our next step is to take to the streets of the area where I last saw Mercy. These townships were built by the separatist Rhodesian government, but they've become more and more densely populated since Zimbabwe's economic collapse. These areas were the worst hit by the recent cholera epidemic, which killed thousands of people across the country.
Is it all familiar?
Not really, but you know, I mean, the houses are so similar, and it was 14 years ago, so.
In this neighbourhood these days, the sight of white people will raise questions. Sam and Fudzy keep us in the back of the van while they go from house to house with Mercy's photo, trying to find someone who might recognise her. But yet again, we come up empty-handed.
Thanks, Fudzy. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to get anywhere here. Nobody seems to recognise the family. Probably means they've moved away. Possibly some years ago.
I decide to travel north to the capital city, Harare. There are family friends on the ground there who may be able to help. Zimbabwe is one of the most fertile countries in Africa, but our route takes us past many abandoned farms. In the 1990s, the MDC, Movement for Democratic Change, began to threaten Mugabe's one-party state. Mugabe saw farmers and their workers as MDC's support base, so he began driving them from the land. As well as their employers, over 1 million farm workers have lost their homes and their jobs. Many of the farms are given to government ministers. Zimbabwe now imports over 80% of its food. I'm staying with friends who have organised a barbecue. I'm hoping they can help me with my search. One of them has a contact with connections. I become worried when I realise he's talking to a high-ranking police officer.
You haven't got an ID number or anything?
No, I mean, I last saw it when we were teenagers.
No ID number or anything, eh?
He asks him to track down Mercy's ID number and location. He claims it's a good contact, but I'm nervous because the police in Zimbabwe are Mugabe's henchmen. See, I'm nervous now.
You've got to be very careful on that sort of side of it. I promise you the guy I've given to
Right.
he's actually become quite high up in the police force. In the centre there. So you don't know truly what side of the world he's on.
That's what I'm worried about.
You will never know what side of the bridge they are truly on. They will play the game.
I've been naive, and the situation is no longer in my control. The policeman has asked to meet me in the morning. At this point, refusing would be more dangerous than going through with it. And if I can trust him, he might just be my best hope of finding Mercy. The policeman arrives with information. The extent of it is frightening. It includes details about the last 3 generations of Mercy's family and where she's living now. But I'm anxious about trusting him. This is Zimbabwe. This is what it is. Nobody quite trusts anybody. Everyone's got a connection that's just slightly dodgy. Anything can be found with a bit of money. No one wants to say how much money. I have no idea.
Did you give him?
130
US?
Yeah. The police officer insists on accompanying us to Mercy's address. Jake sits next to him.
I think this school is wrong.
We need to be extremely careful that he doesn't see the camera or microphones. Despite having paid him, he stands to make far more by turning us in if he finds out we're filming a documentary. He directs us towards Kwekwe, just outside of Gweru.
I did it.
His intel has established that this is where Mercy now lives and works as a teacher. Before we reach Kwekwe, he tells us to turn off the main road towards the rural area of Zombe. It's remote areas like this that people have been taken to and never seen again. Peter drives for about 6 hours. Eventually, we leave even the donkey tracks. I realize that we are completely vulnerable.
Huh? This is not the road, is it?
I kind of stopped.
It doesn't go anywhere. You want me to get out? We reach a point where we can't drive any further. The policeman tells us to stay where we are. He gets out of the car and heads towards some huts in the bush. We're in the middle of nowhere, literally, and he's just gone to ask some guys who are herding cattle, but everyone runs away from him when he stops to ask them. People are scared out here. Oh man, I just want to get the hell out of here. It's too...
You're shaking things up too much.
Yeah, way too much. He's found someone. Half an hour later, the policeman returns. He tells us to turn back. When we have gone some distance, he delivers a bombshell. He had found Mercy's family, and they told him that Mercy is dead. Did they say what happened?
After a long illness.
A long illness?
Sorry. It's really sad.
A long illness is the common euphemism for AIDS. I try to take in the information.
But then she left a kid.
She left a kid?
A kid, yeah, one kid.
Is there a kid here?
Yeah, he's staying here. He's heading a cattle.
Life expectancy for women in Zimbabwe now is just 32. That's my age, and would have been hers. Thanks, Pete. We couldn't have done that without you, eh? It was a big day. Thank you. I'm confused about what to do next. I know I want to talk to Mercy's family myself, but I'll need to find a safe way of getting back there. We're returning to Bulawayo to meet an MDC MP. Technically, the MDC, Movement for Democratic Change, won the 2008 election, but Mugabe refused to cede power. International pressure forced a power-sharing arrangement, but Mugabe has worked this to suit himself. The MDC has been absorbed into the government, weakening their opposition voice. Despite our contact being a member of parliament, we need to meet in secret. He has agreed to take us back to Mercy's family. In the city, we're shoulder-tapped and told to get into a vehicle.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
We travel via the Silabella region. This area is an MDC stronghold and has seen some of the worst violence. We're with Arnold Salulu, MDC MP for the district. Voting for Arnold took great courage from this community. Despite the unity government, MDC supporters and leaders are still at risk of being attacked.
Salbonani. Bijani.
Arnold and the MDC are championing a local HIV education initiative. Zimbabwe has a similar HIV infection rate as neighbouring countries, but the death toll here is far higher. What little medication is available requires adequate nutrition to work. Without enough food, the side effects from medication can make people even sicker. Mugabe has actively blocked food aid from reaching areas which support the opposition, increasing the impact of HIV in these regions. It's been called a silent genocide. I can't help wondering if this contributed to Mercy's death. I make a donation to the education program, and they present me with a chicken. It's getting late, but Arnold is determined to help me get back to Mercy's family tonight. We head into neighbouring Zombe. This is not MDC territory. For safety, Arnold hasn't even told his closest colleagues when and where we'll be travelling.
You know, when I travel slowly, like most of the time, I don't want anyone to know how I'm traveling.
Yes.
Because of these unpaved creatures.
Yes.
Yeah, because if they catch you in the bush, they can easily kill you.
It's near midnight when we finally reach the right group of huts.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm very sorry to wake you.
No, provided you are moving in a good atmosphere.
Absolutely, very much. Very much.
When the driver came and spoke to your young brother.
Yes.
To them, he just say stay in the car.
Yeah, we're told.
We
got scared because I had
because
said...
when he said this guy staying, they were scared as well.
Yeah.
And the him, I think, was scared. And you were scared.
I want to give the family the photos I have of Mercy, but when I hand them over, it raises doubt about her identity.
This is her?
No.
This is her face. Is it? You think it's not the right person?
I'm doubting.
No.
The picture, it does not match her if she's not the one.
We came with the wrong person. I'm sorry. Although this man's niece shared Mercy's name and age, the policeman was wrong. This is not Mercy's family. I gift them the chicken. It's all I have, but the gesture seems so inadequate for a family who really have lost their child. Mercy might still be alive. Back in Bulawayo, my search begins again, this time with no leads at all. Our tourist visas are running out, and I don't have much time left. In desperation, I turn to the phone book, but Mercy has one of the most common surnames in Zimbabwe. Hello, I'm looking for Sabanda.
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, thank you very much.
Maybe it's the wrong number.
Okay, sorry. It's the wrong number. Sorry. Okay, goodbye. Sorry. Thank you. Oh, there's only another 400 Sabandas to go. Finally, after 2 days, I get a breakthrough. Do you know her?
Yes.
You do?
I think she's coming back tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning?
Or even today.
Okay. I'm visiting from New Zealand, and if you tell her it's Robyn Paterson,
Okay.
I'd love to see her before I go.
Okay.
Goodbye. I think that might be her. He said she went to CJR school.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm hopeful. The man on the phone says he's Mercy's father, but it seems strange that he doesn't recognise my name. We travel to his listed address in Gweru. In this area, Jake needs to make sure the camera isn't seen. When we reach the house, I realise the man I've spoken to is not Mercy's father. So you're her uncle, huh?
Yes.
So tell me, where is she now? She's in Chikutu.
No, you go past Kwekwe, then Impress 10 off.
The uncle tells us she's over half a day's drive away at a church camp. He confirms from the photographs that this is definitely the Mercy I've been looking for. Is she teaching?
Yes.
She's a teacher, yes.
Yeah.
Last time I saw her, she wanted to be a teacher, so she was going to start training. But,
Yeah.
I hope we can find her before I leave the country.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
The uncle is unclear as to when Mercy is due home. We're told there are church camps at over 500 points in the region. I'm forced to wait for Mercy to return. Today is Independence Day. While we wait for Mercy, Mugabe is nearby, celebrating 30 years in power. State media reports a triumphant 30 years of peace and freedom. I continue to wait for the uncle to call, but he doesn't. We worry that our visit has drawn too much attention to him. His neighbours tell us that he put on his best suit and walked into town. He hasn't been seen since.
What did Patrick say? Everybody knows somebody who's disappeared.
Everybody knows somebody who's disappeared. And they do. After 4 days, there's still no word. Then a local tips us off that being away at church camp is a common cover-up for having left the country. It's likely Mercy has gone to South Africa. I make a decision to catch a bus across the border and pick up our search in South Africa. But it's really hard leaving the country having not found Mercy. With our bags now full of the material we've been filming, it's a tense border crossing out of Zimbabwe.
G'day, how you doing?
we make it through without being searched. There are 4 million Zimbabweans living in South Africa, many of them on the streets of Johannesburg. In the heart of downtown, we meet Priscilla, who has an honours degree in sociology. Priscilla leads us to the Central Methodist Church, where she's living with over 2,000 other Zimbabweans. People sleep on stairwells and wherever they can find space. It's better here than living on the streets. The church building has become an unofficial refugee camp. Walking around asking questions to find my friend, what I find instead is people desperate to tell their story.
They adulterated and killed my wife, kidnapped. The following day they came. These were some men with a white Mitsubishi pickup, bearing no number plates, but they were wearing dark glasses. They were armed also. They came, and up to today she's still missing. I just knocked them. They started about 7 days ago on the 26th. But I still remember her, and I miss her a lot. She was everything I wished to have in life, and an important part of my life is missing at the moment.
On another floor, I find a 16-year-old who's just escaped from one of Mugabe's many youth militia camps.
Yeah, you're taught how to use a gun. Yeah, just being physically fit and how to torture someone or to go to people's homesteads, look for those people who voted for MTC. Yeah, or torture them. That's what was happening. You see, it's the horrible things which happen at the camps.
Despite the unity government, militia camps and underground torture centres still operate in Zimbabwe. People are desperate to leave the country.
I came on foot. Because on the road I was raped, I was robbed by thieves. They took my ass clamps. Then I met other women who were fleeing from Zimbabwe. They said, let's cross. If the South African government kills us, no problem. We know we have fled and we've been killed. Let's cross.
In the city, the enormity of my search really hits me. Out here in the diaspora, even family members have lost each other. It seems hopeless. Every lead I've followed has been a dead end. I have to face reality. It's time to go home. Mercy could be here in South Africa. She could be anywhere. Since coming home, it's been hard to let the search go. My daughter is now the age Mercy and I were when we met. Watching her play with her friends is a constant reminder of the connection that Mercy and I once had. I've kept in touch with people from Zimbabwe and South Africa, hoping that something will come to light. Finally, I get some good news from Sam and Fudzy back in Gweru. They think they've tracked down Mercy's mother, who remembers me well. Incredibly, she's told Sam that Mercy is living in Australia. She's let Mercy know I'm looking for her. Come on, answer.
Hello?
Hello, is it
Yes, it is.
Sabanda?
Yes, it is.
Hi, it's Robyn from Gweru.
Oh, hi! I'm waiting for your call.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, I can't believe I'm speaking to you. You have no idea. I've been looking for you all over Zimbabwe.
I was telling my kids the other day, you know, my friends from primary school, they're laughing. I wish, like, for my kids to have that kind of friendship, you know, just innocent, you know?
That's
because in this world, there's so much going on, you know?
That's right. To have a friendship like that, you know, I look at Poppy and her friends and I want that for her too.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm coming to Australia because I so don't want to lose touch now that I found you.
Oh, that'd be great, that'd be great. That's so exciting. I think we've grown up, hey?
Yeah, I know, and everyone's everywhere. There's hardly anyone in Zimbabwe anymore.
Mercy is living in a small coastal town in Australia. It's been 14 years since we've seen each other. With her family still back home, Mercy has asked that we don't reveal her face on camera.
Hi. Oh my goodness, how are you?
Even this far from Zimbabwe, Mugabe's weapon of fear is still effective. Mercy and her husband are amongst the lucky ones. They saved enough to be able to leave Zimbabwe with their children just 18 months ago. Mercy fulfilled her dream of becoming a teacher back home. Here, though, she's working night shifts as a caregiver. Our time together in Australia is time that not long ago I never thought we'd have.
Do you remember when we left? Yeah, I remember when you guys left. I remember the last Sunday when I drew that picture. I always kept that. I always kept that because it was hard to leave and say goodbye. It was too sudden. Abake, babonana, bayapinde, babonane, njalo. Oh, you still remember.
Mercy and I still represent Zimbabwe. Only now we are the face of the diaspora, just 2 of the millions who have left the country we love. For every voice that comes out of Zimbabwe, there are 1,000 more being silenced. The struggle in our country is not black versus white, nor Shona versus Matabele. It's the Mugabe regime against the people.